Had a follower on Instagram send me a question. Every once in a while, I'll post something up saying, hey, if you got a business, a life, or relationship question, or you want to talk about stocks, drop me a DM and I'll try to get you featured on the show. Um, Again, you can follow me on Instagram at JamesPhillip313. And if you want to send me a question, shoot me a DM and I'll try to get it featured on here. But their question, and I'm ad libbing here because I'm not looking at my phone right now. I'm actually looking at a Oprah post. Go figure. Like, what am I doing here? Their question went along the lines of, I've been married for almost 10 years now, and it feels like I can't breathe. And I think that was the extent of the question. There wasn't a lot of details there, but it's not the first time I've heard that. More than a dozen times. Friends, family, business associates, you're sitting out having dinner, killing $100 bottle of wine, and you're, sawing on a tomahawk ribeye, and, someone just kind of unloads on you. And it's like, oh, right, I didn't know we were cool like that. But I've heard this story quite a bit. And there's one pattern I think that I've seen personally, and it may or may not make sense to you. Drop a comment below if it does or what your opinion is. But I think when it gets to the point to where you feel like you're happy because the person you're with is happy with you, and that's like step one. You're happy because the person you're with is happy with you. And now I'll continue to part two, because you're doing the things that makes them happy. And what I say by that is, those relationships where someone just expects you to do certain things, and then if you don't do them, they get mad at you. And if you get to the point to where you feel like you can't breathe because you realize you don't actually own your own time anymore. It's, if you don't go over to my parents' house with me, I'm going to be mad at you. If you don't go to this wedding with me, I'm going to be mad at you. If you don't go to my friend's birthday party, I'm going to be mad at you. If you don't do this, if you don't, and then you find yourself like, if you don't kind of comply with all this person's, demands and requests, then they're mad at you, and if they're mad at you, then you feel like you're in the doghouse and you're unhappy because this person's not being very nice to you. I think that's kind of how a lot of marriages go. By the time you get 10 years in, you were either aware of it and you're just tired of it, or you've tried so hard to just comply all the time that you didn't even notice it was going on. And then when you finally wake up and you're like, I can't believe I just spent a decade, it's like, I can't go do this on Saturday morning because I got to do this or my spouse is going to get mad. And for me personally, I was always in that mindset of, I never want to ask anybody for anything. And it's not about being selfish. It's the thought that nobody really owns your time but you. You're in control of your own life. And those people, it's like, hey, do you want to go out to happy hour after work? Now, we're not talking about going out to Vegas for the weekend and, going to the strip club and balling out of control. It's like, hey, do you want to go get, some pot stickers and a Moscow Mule? To go, I don't know, I gotta call and, ask my better half. And my thought is, like, why do you need to ask? And then, sometimes you inquire and you go, hey, well, are they going to get mad if we just run down there for an hour? And it's like, well, they don't like sitting at home alone. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, is it, and maybe that's what you signed up for. Maybe when you got married, you knew that was going to be your job, is to make sure that they never sit home alone, I guess. But it's like, it's codependent, maybe they call that. I don't know. But like, I never want to be responsible for having to entertain somebody 24 hours a day. It's like, we all need our own hobbies and our own passions. We need to have our own circle of friends. And, when you become someone else's life, where that's all they have is what you're doing, I think that's when you start to feel like you're suffocating. And it's one of those things where you have to be able to do things by yourself. You have to be able to do things together. You got to do things as a family. But you just kind of can't do what one person wants to do all the time. And then he's like, well, now I don't have time for my hobbies. And then 10 years go by and you realize you can't get your youth back. And you're like, damn it. Why did I wait so long? It's like, well, I've been trying to make this person happy by complying with all their demands. So I'm not saying that's the position this person's in because they didn't give me a lot of details. But damn, have I heard this story so much where it's like you're not even in control of your own day anymore. This is why I own a handful of like executive search companies and recruiting companies. Well, what's funny is a lot of times, I'd try, this is a long time ago when I was actually doing the headhunting, but you'd be talking to a CFO and it's like, hey, I can get you a job where you work less and the drive's less. And he's like, I don't want to go home. Like, I'm happy working till 6 because between 5 and 6, I can just kind of do what I want here and I got some time to breathe. Because like once I get home, I'm just not going to. And it's funny when you talk to people over and over and over again, you hear these same stories. And I get it. Like when you sign up for marriage, when you get in certain relationships, that's kind of what you signed up for. But in the same way, if you don't have some personal time, if you don't have the ability to say no, I don't want to go to your parents today. There's something I want to do. Maybe I want to work on myself. Maybe I wanted to go to the gym. Maybe I wanted to read a book. You can't spend your whole life trying to just appease somebody else. I think it's okay to put yourself first sometimes. And what happens is you don't do that because you spend so much time and energy worrying that if you don't do this, then you're going to end up in the doghouse. And then you get mistreated. And that's like manipulation, right? If you don't do what I tell you, then I'm going to treat you like crap for the next 2 weeks. Well, who wants to live like that? And that's like that 10-year itch. I think, you get married at 25 and by 35, you're like, oh, I can't breathe. And you start seeing those people in their late 30s and early 40s, and this just happens over and over and over again because I always say you're almost better off, you're together, but if you're not like two separate entities that have their own passions and their own hobbies and their own friends and their own dreams, sometimes you share those. And then other times, you just got to be by yourself. When you don't do that, and you spend all your time trying to make somebody else happy, you end up not happy. So to the person that sent the question, I don't know if this is the answer, but I'm just telling you something that I've seen over and over and over again. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying go be selfish. But I am saying it's okay to be selfish once in a while. It's okay to just worry about you. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you a bad person. You put everybody else first all the time and you wonder why you're depressed. It's just not how it works. So, anyways, if you got some thoughts on this topic, if you've seen something else happen at that 10-year mark, or, people that have been dating for 3, 5, 7 years and this sets in, drop a comment below. I'd be curious to hear. But until then, I'm going to catch you on the next one.